The New England Puritans weren't just religious refugees. They believed they were carrying out a divine mission with world historical consequences. In this episode, we explore Perry Miller's idea of an errand into the wilderness and how Puritan theology shaped governance, dissent, and the roots of American exceptionalism. My name is James D. Newcomb, and that's what I meant to say.
So, Professor, the other day we were talking about the Puritans of New England and how their unique theology created a, shall we say, interesting political dynamic in their era. Do you have anything else to add about this?
Yes. The Puritans weren't just religious refugees who came to America to flee persecution. They saw themselves as cosmic entrepreneurs on a divine mission, one that would shape American identity for centuries to come. Their story changes everything about how we understand the roots of what we call American exceptionalism.
That's an interesting take. We usually have a very one-dimensional view of what the Puritans were, just these strict religious zealots in funny hats. So what made their mission so different?
The most important factor is that they saw themselves as carrying out a special assignment from God himself, what historian Perry Miller called an errand in the wilderness. Imagine being handed a cosmic to-do list with the fate of Christianity itself hanging in the balance.
So you're saying it was like a spiritual startup with eternal consequences?
That's not entirely inaccurate. They considered themselves to be building what they called a city upon a hill, essentially a prototype for the perfect godly society. And just like today's tech companies feeling the pressure of public scrutiny, they knew the whole world was watching. Or they perceived that anyway.
That's a lot of pressure to bring upon themselves. It had to have had some interesting consequences?
Interesting? I suppose you could say that. The Puritans developed this elaborate system of collective responsibility. Like if your neighbour committed a sin, it could bring divine punishment down on everyone.
So that would explain their obsession with monitoring everyone's behavior. It wasn't just being nosy.
That's right. They interpreted everything through this lens. A good harvest, that's a sign of God's approval. Disease outbreak, that's divine punishment. Even the wilderness itself wasn't just physical territory. It was like a spiritual boot camp designed to test their worthiness.
That's a heavy psychological burden to carry. How did it affect their society?
Well, imagine living in a community where any form of dissent isn't just disagreement. It's viewed as literally endangering everyone in the community of hellfire. Roger Williams was a prominent statesman in Massachusetts who suggested having something of a barrier between the church and the government. The political establishment of the day didn't give him the time of day. They saw him as threatening their entire divine mission. Rather than listen to Williams's arguments, they banished him from the colony entirely.
This must have created problems for maintaining that level of control as they grew in numbers.
Well, that's exactly what happened. As the colony grew and prospered, it became impossible to maintain that moral uniformity. But as Miller points out, their mission didn't die, it transformed.
What do you mean by transformed?
The religious language and panopticon type of public life slowly faded, but that sense of American exceptionalism, that belief in a special destiny among nations, that's pure Puritan DNA. Think about how often we still position America as a model for other nations, or how we interpret national challenges in moral terms.
Yes, I can see those echoes in modern American culture, like how we often talk about having a moral responsibility to lead or police the world.
Exactly! And it shows up just about everywhere, in our corporate culture, our foreign policy, even our political rhetoric. These so-called regime changes we're watching in real time use this exact type of propaganda to justify America's actions. So when leaders talk about America's special role in history, they're channeling those Puritan ancestors, whether they realize it or not.
That really puts our current debates about national identity in a whole new light.
And that's what makes this story so relevant today. The Puritans' original errand failed, at least as they understood it at the time. But their legacy lives on in our cultural DNA, both the aspirational parts and the contradictions. Understanding their story helps us understand ourselves,
So in a way, we're still trying to balance those same tensions they struggled with, between individual freedom and collective responsibility.
That's right. And maybe the most important lesson is how dangerous it can be when we fuse political identity with absolute moral certainty. The Puritans were by and large not villains. They had good intentions in a world that had gone mad in light of the Reformation in Europe. A better way to put it is to say they were idealists. Some would say misguided idealists, whose very conviction made their system ultimately unsustainable.
Okay, well, fascinating insights as always.
So it was fun. See you next time.
My name is James D. Newcomb, and that's what I meant to say. Find me on the web at jamesdnewcomb.com. And thank you for watching.